He looked BBC's Victoria Derbyshire dead in the eye and lied to her live on air. At least, that's what it looked like. 3 years earlier, Jeremy Clarkson had told The Times exactly why he bought his farm. Now, on Newsnight, he was giving a completely different answer. Same certainty, same confidence, opposite reason. Somebody was about to get exposed on live television. The only question was, who? If you want to see exactly how this ends, and trust me, it's not what you think, subscribe now, because I'm about to show you something almost nobody in British media noticed. Let's rewind. 2008. Doncaster's most famous export, a man whose father sold Paddington Bear toys door to door, quietly signs papers on 1,000 acres of Oxfordshire farmland. No press release, no explanation, just a signature and silence. For over a decade, nobody asks why. It sits there, a strange footnote in a very loud career. Famous men buy land. Nobody thinks twice. He wasn't a farmer. He'd never claimed to be one. He was a man who drove fast cars for a living, and now, apparently, he also owned 1,000 acres of English countryside. It was filed away as eccentric celebrity behavior and nothing more. Then, in 2021, a journalist finally asks him directly, and Clarkson, never one to dodge a question, answers directly too. Avoiding inheritance tax, he says. That was the critical reason. One sentence. Filed away. Forgotten by everyone. Except it wasn't really forgotten. It was waiting. Here's why that sentence was more dangerous than it looked. British farmland carries a tax relief ordinary land doesn't get. Protection built so farming families don't lose their land the moment someone dies. It exists to stop generations of real working farms being broken up and sold off just to cover a tax bill. When a millionaire TV presenter says on record that dodging that exact tax was his critical reason for buying farmland, he's just handed a weapon to every politician who wants that relief scrapped. He's the exact example critics of the relief had been waiting for. A wealthy outsider, using a rule built to protect struggling farming families, and admitting it out loud. 3 years of silence. Then Newsnight picks the quote back up, and points it straight at him. Derbyshire reads his own words back to him. Waits. This is the moment. Does he defend it? Deny it? Explain it away? He does none of those things. He says he bought the land to shoot on. 2 completely different reasons. 3 years apart. Both delivered like gospel truth. Here's what should have happened next. The clip goes viral as proof he lied, gets picked apart by every farming publication in Britain, becomes the scandal that finally cracks the golden boy image. Newspapers usually love this kind of contradiction. It writes the headline for them. Instead, the opposite happened. And this is the part almost nobody has properly explained. The audience didn't see a liar getting caught. They saw a man refuse, twice, to give the smooth, safe, PR-approved answer. And something in that refusal made people trust him more, not less. In an age where every celebrity answer feels focus grouped and pre-approved, watching someone contradict himself live, without flinching, without apologizing for it, felt almost refreshing. That's not an accident. That's the entire business model. And once you see it here, you cannot unsee it anywhere else on this farm. Watch what happened to the farm shop. It opened with just 44,000 pounds to its name, barely more than a market stall. Then the local council tried to shut its car park down over planning rules. Within a year, that same shop had passed $1.3 million. The council thought they were protecting the countryside. They were actually writing free advertising for the next season of the show. Every objection they filed became a scene. Every meeting became a subplot. The show didn't need to invent conflict. The council kept supplying it for free. It happened again with the sourcing rule. West Oxfordshire Council forced the shop to only source ingredients from within 16 miles, a restriction designed to keep the business small and contained. On paper, it should have crippled a business trying to grow. Instead, Lisa Hogan later admitted, on record, that this rule became one of the best things that ever happened to them. It forced them into relationships with local suppliers who became characters in the story itself. The honey seller, the cheesemaker, the local butcher. A punishment became the personality of the entire brand. Then it happened at a completely different scale. Hawkstone, the brewery, wasn't launched with a marketing department and a 5-year plan. It grew from £7.8 million to $21.3 million in revenue in a single year, while a $50 million buyout offer from Carlsberg sat on the table, in public, and got rejected. Think about that for a second. A global brewing giant offered £50 million, and the answer was no, on camera, in front of everyone. The drinks industry watched a celebrity hobby project and missed a business that understood exactly what its audience wanted to watch. Rejection, done loudly, on their own terms. Are you seeing the shape of this yet? Because there's one more piece, and it's the one that ties everything together. Subscribe now if you want to catch it before I explain it. Here's the piece nobody's connected. The Times quote. The Newsnight quote. They were never really about tax. They were the exact same trick the farm shop and the brewery ran, just pointed at himself instead of a product. Say the calculated, self-interested version first. Let it get challenged, publicly, on camera. Then answer again, messier, more human, completely unprepared, and let that second answer win the room. You cannot script that reaction. You can only create a real contradiction, refuse to clean it up, and let people decide for themselves which version of you they believe. Try to manufacture it, and audiences smell it instantly. This only works because, as far as anyone can tell, none of it was planned that way from the start. The pub proves it one final time. The farmer's dog cost roughly $1 million to build. It now employs 146 people and needed 360 parking spaces for the crowds it pulls. Before it opened, there were public objections, licensing fights, local residents worried about traffic and noise, all playing out in local papers, the same pattern as the shop, years earlier. And once again, free publicity, delivered by the people trying to stop it. Nobody objecting to that pub thought they were building its audience. That is exactly what they did. Now here's where I have to be honest with you, because this story isn't just entertainment. The debate over agricultural inheritance tax relief is real. It's unresolved, and it affects thousands of actual farming families who don't have an Amazon deal to fall back on if the numbers don't work out. These are families with no camera crew, no brewery empire, no backup plan if the relief disappears. Whatever Clarkson's real reason was back in 2008, his 2021 quote waded into that fight, and one contradictory answer on Newsnight didn't settle it. It's still being fought over in Westminster right now, with real consequences for people who will never appear in a single episode of this show. And that's the one thing this instinct might not survive. You can turn a council objection into a storyline. You can turn a rejected buyout into a headline. But you cannot turn an act of parliament into free publicity, because there's no camera in the room when the law actually changes, no objection to film, no contradiction to lean into. Just a vote and a result. So look at the whole picture, one more time. $6 million for land nobody expected him to buy. A first year's profit of $144 that became a national joke. £44,000 that became $1.3 million because a council tried to stop it. A restriction that became an identity. A $50 million offer, rejected, live, in public. A pub built out of the exact objections meant to prevent it. Every single one of those moments follows the same rule. Say the thing that sounds bad. Get caught. Answer honestly instead of smoothly. Let the audience reward you for it, every single time. 2 answers, 3 years apart. Only one of them was ever meant to be believed. So, which one do you believe? Drop it below. I read every single comment.